I think they did a good job with the design of it, that it's one of those deals where it looks aggressive enough even though it maybe isn't that aggressive.
Right. So I do want to defend myself a little bit with Craig's harsh criticisms here. Welcome back to Texas Truck Channel. I'm Brian.
I'm Craig at World Headquarters.
Oh, the HQ1, which means my house, and Craig's house is HQ2. Look, the Ranger, we've had it for how many miles on, Craig? Just shy of 9 or right around 9?
Almost 10,000.
Almost 10,000?
Yeah.
Golly, I'm glad you cleaned it for once. This is great. Thanks for that. Look, we've done some updates. Y'all have seen a lot of those on the way. We're not going to recap that. But in this episode, we do have 3 more modifications we put at this thing I'm actually pretty excited about. We've also got 2 other things we're working on down the road we want to tell you about at the end of this episode. But before we get to all that stuff, we want to talk about just how it's been going. So let's get into that. I'm actually going to turn it to Craig real quick because you've been driving it for the last, 700,000 miles, something like that?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Well, just for reference, Craig's daily weekly drive is like about 600 miles without doing anything crazy. So it just is what it is. It's not a criticism, it's just the nature of it. So, all right, before I hand it off to Craig, I want to go over a couple things real quick. The biggest thing that we needed seat time to get an answer on is these tires we have right now. So just tell people what we have, Craig, and how that's been going.
Brian, these wildpeak AT4s have actually, I'll be honest, I think I like them more than you.
Agreed. Yeah.
I think you want a little bit more of an aggressive because you're a big KO2 fanboy, if we're being honest.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
and by the way, for good reason. I think everybody a little bit's a KO2 fanboy.
Yeah.
But I like these a lot. I think they are, to me, they're almost maybe better for daily use. If you daily this thing to work and back on road 90% of the time, arguably I think this might be a better tire because it's quiet, it's really good in the rain. I don't notice any additional noise over those Goodyear crap tires we had.
I'll back you. I think these are quieter.
So, but I think it does look aggressive enough. I think they did a good job with the design of it, that it's one of those deals where it looks aggressive enough even though it maybe isn't that aggressive, which is going to be interesting because we have a mod coming later where maybe that's the reverse factor.
Right. So I do want to defend myself a little bit with Craig's harsh criticisms here. No, not at all. I'm with him. I actually agree with Craig on all of this. I think it's a way better daily tire. If you off-road once or twice a year, I'll push you this direction. I think this is probably better than a KO2. My counter argument is they cost about the same most of the time. And for most sizes, they cost about the same. They're really close, makes no difference. For something like our LR3, which has a higher off-road focus than a daily driver pickup truck, that's where I'm still going to go KO2. And the reason why is because this isn't much louder than these are, right? But this tire does work better in the mud in our practice. Like, these don't cake as much. They fling mud a little bit better. Now, the flip side of that is the Falcon's better in the rain. I think it's arguable for sure. They're a little quieter and they balance better. KO2s and KO3s in our experience have had some balancing problems.
No, that's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up because I was getting ready to say that. The people we take our tires to,
Doghouse Performance in Crescent, they actually own our old Tacoma.
Yes.
And they are, well, you're going to go there.
Well, no, yeah, but that's exactly what they said. The Wild Peaks balance better than the KO2s. So I don't know what that tells you about the tire, but that's an interesting point that the people putting the tire on have told us.
Well, the reality too is they own that Tacoma now with the KO3s we bought, and he said, hey man, do you have any of the wheels or this spec? Because I'm trying to figure out if it's the wheel that's out of balance or the tire.
Ooh.
Yeah, so just a little update on that. It may not be the tire, we don't know.
Good point. Yeah, it has steelies, so who knows? Good.
Yeah, it has used steelies too, so who knows?
One more thing about the tire, I will say, you talked about the spacing and what it grips and flinging mud and things like that. Previous Tacoma, there was a lot to talk about it, throwing rocks and catching rocks.
Oh, yeah.
This does not keep any rocks in here, and I love that. Yeah. So I drive, I have a lot of dirt and gravel on my drive, and so if a tire does catch rocks and fling them, I hear it all the time. As soon as I get on the road, it starts flinging them everywhere. I get the fender. I haven't heard that once with these, and I love that.
Wow, look at that. Lake Henry, where are we?
Lake Greason.
We're in Lake Greason. How do we get here?
Onyx.
Onyx got us here with our Ranger, and the beauty of it is we are in Arkansas right now. We're just kind of north of Little Rock, and we're just on a family vacation. And the best part is there's a ton of private property here and a ton of dirt roads. Onyx kept us off of trespassing for sure and got us out here to this beautiful Lake Greason. We can go do some hiking and check out the water and just explore. We love Onyx as a tool, and I think you will too. If you'd like to check them out, we have a link down below. You're welcome to it. Thanks for watching, and let's keep going. Okay, so not everything can be rosy and butterflies. We have had some problems. We're 9,000 miles in. And the first one, Craig, I want to get into, and all 3 of the problems are right here, actually. The first one is right here. This weather stripping is wrinkling, and it was that way the day we bought it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize until I got home. Day one. And this just kind of goes back to, well, here's another issue.
The delay on the button.
There's a delay on the button.
Yeah,
so we just had that
you don't know if you did something, Yeah,
exactly. So, well, that's another thing. Moral of the story is we've recently spent some more time with Tacoma, And there's some things on the interior that Toyota just has figured out a little bit better. So let's get into some of those things, Craig.
We'll just start there. The quality materials in here is cheaper. I'm not saying the Tacoma is necessarily high royal Luxo boat. That's not what I'm saying.
This is the same guy that said
not what I'm saying.
Of Tacoma was cheap.
And it's still cheap too, but there's different levels and quality of cheap. You can have a cheap, I mean value, I mean it didn't cost a whole lot, but it's a well-designed piece of whatever, like this handle per se.
I'll argue at least this has a handle over the Toyota.
Okay,
that's
fair.
A fair point.
Yeah, fair.
But if Toyota had a handle, it might feel more quality.
But at least Toyota gives you one here, and Ford gives you none on the front.
Fair.
So, but they give you two in the back.
They should make a Super Bowl commercial about these back two.
Toyota doesn't give you any in the back. So there's a weird trade-offs. But that said, ergonomics, Brian, I think ergonomics in this are just as good, just in different ways as the Tacoma.
Agreed.
The ergonomics in the Tacoma are great. The ergonomics in this are great, even though they're a little different.
They're just different. I agree. They just move it around.
The things I like about the Ranger is I love this shelf right here. Every car should have a shelf, and more are doing that.
Yeah, they are.
I think that's genius. I know a lot of people don't like screens anymore and are annoyed by screens, and let's go back to the old school. Okay, yeah. Probably.
I hear you.
The tyranny of screens, right, is upon us. This one works, and I think it's a good layout, and it is fairly snappy. The screen itself, the lag comes into play when you start doing some of these things. Like this doesn't go up as quick with each click.
Yeah, it
doesn't
linear,
match.
It's not linear to your hand movement.
You know, and then it takes a minute for it to go away, and it's blocking part of the screen. That's a little annoying, but it's just really not a big deal. Brian, this right here is the best thing in the entire truck.
Okay.
Because your phone just goes there. I love that.
Yeah, that works because what happens is if you're a driver, you can put your phone here and wireless to charge it. But your co-pilot wants to put their phone somewhere too.
Right.
And that's just not a problem. That's something we all compulsively are in our hands all the time. That's just handled.
Right.
Something I want to comment on with the screen, Craig, is I don't like vertical layout navigation systems, and I was nervous about this. Two takeaways. One, the way they've integrated this, it's not poking above the dash line.
I like that.
I love that.
Yeah.
In fact, I put things here all the time because you can.
Yeah.
And then secondly, this feels incredibly high quality. We talk about a lower interior quality of the interior. Yeah. This feels like it's out of a Platinum F-150. The screen quality is incredibly good.
And this is the base screen.
Yeah, and they all get this.
Yeah, you get the Ranger XL.
That's right. And so I just wish that this was as good as that.
Yeah. Let's move right over there because this is embarrassing.
Yeah, they can just do better.
It all works, and you get used to it all, and it's functional and intuitive. The bars for dials, like the RPM right here, and you have no option to change that.
Yeah, it's a bar
In fact, you can actually change it.
You can change. Yeah, there you go.
You get that. That's not the tack. That's actually the speed. So you it's just a terrible design.
They can do better.
I don't like it.
Well, and that's where the Tacoma wins because its digital cluster is quite great.
Yeah.
You know, it really gives you like configurability. Okay.
Now that said, we had the upgraded cluster in the Tacoma, not the base one. This is the base.
That's actually fair.
But it's easier to get to that upgraded cluster in the Tacoma versus it is in the Ranger.
And here's where it gets messy. The comparable version of this truck from Toyota is $47,000 off the lot. Well, the one we bought, which was TRD off-road, this was $38,000. So just keep that in mind. Now, I'm sure nowadays they probably adjust a little bit.
Sure.
They weren't bought at the exact same time, so there's that. Now, there's two issues we actually need to get to, and we can wrap the interior. You've had some lagginess here.
I've had some lagginess here. Well, there's two things. One, I've tried to use the base system, the native system.
Okay.
It doesn't work when I take phone calls. Anytime I get a phone call in the native system, the Ford system, the person cannot hear me. I have to disconnect the Bluetooth, reconnect it, and then they can actually hear me.
Right.
I have to use CarPlay in this system, and then it works most of the time.
Okay, so that most of the time. So that's interesting. Just goes to show nowadays, if you have CarPlay and you use it, they seem to work most of the time, but you're stuck with that. It's a problem.
This system, though, is really good. It works well with CarPlay. One of the things I like about this system is that the Ford Sync system is it gives you little hints along the way. So like I hit the little Bluetooth speaker button because I needed it to call somebody. So I hit it once and it popped up and it said, oh, hey, hold it down longer if you want Siri. It told me, so I didn't have to research that or learn that. It told me,
that's pretty good.
Hey, this is how you can use Siri. Just hold it down longer. I was like, man, that's nice.
That's pretty
awesome.
So
little things like that keep popping up, and it's kind of helpful.
Okay, well then there's a last thing we'll get out of the interior. I know we're ranting here.
We got to mention this. This dial and switch is the worst on the planet.
Well, look, hang on.
It's really
as you've seen in our last hill test, I did this. It just did it right there.
Yeah, right.
It's dusty, and it's just stuck.
Yeah, it's just stuck there. So you got to. There you go.
There you go. So. The old Ford love tap is going on there. That's another one of those things where they can just do better. And I think when you use this tactile control in the Toyota, it feels great.
Yes.
Tactile, and like it's going to feel that way forever. Now, the last thing, Craig, which Ford just can't help themselves, is this. And we've both had something going on with this. This is the 10R60 transmission. Let's previous Ranger to 10R80, which the 150 still uses, and look, they've gotten much better. They really have.
Yes, they have. Especially when they first came out.
When they first came out, these were just hysterically awful. And what I mean by that is the shift logic was highly flawed on these. And they basically, if you drive something with a ZF8, like my wife's Audi right here, that is
or a ZF6.
Or a ZF6, the predecessor of this thing. You know when this thing skips gears, Craig?
Never.
It's never happened.
Yeah.
It's never once happened. You know when that skips gears?
Never.
It's never happened. It's never had a, I don't know what gear to be in, right?
A confused moment.
Right.
Yeah.
There's not anything mechanically wrong with this transmission.
No, it's fine.
And none of them that we've driven have had that problem.
No, we haven't had a mechanical issue.
Ever. It's I've got 10 gears and 6 fingers. I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. So and so what happens is you have these drive modes, which
work.
They work. The only drive mode I like.
They work better than Toyotas.
Oh, the drive modes in Toyotas are kind of like
pointless.
It's just why have it? So when you put this in sport mode, I call it kill mode because it is not messing around.
It means business.
Now all of a sudden this transmission knows exactly what its goal is and it nails it. Right?
It's almost like, hey, 10R60, wake up! I need you to do something. Like, yes, let's go.
Right.
And it's ready.
Right.
Yeah, I love that.
The problem is when you're driving in normal mode, and the problem then is because if you use, and we've got a solution for this at the end of this episode, by the way. The problem with this is when you use it and you go into sport mode. Well, now the throttle is really jumpy, but the shift logic is right. So stay tuned. We got an answer on that.
Yeah.
The reality though, Craig, is in normal mode, it does not want to use second gear ever. So you're like, say you're going up 30 miles an hour, a slight grade, and you're like, oh man, I'm in third and it's lugging. Boost is up. It's like, hey, can you just downshift a second, please, just calmly? And it goes, bam, first gear. It just doesn't need. It just does not want to use second gear. And then we've had it. It's never like slammed a gear for me. Has it for you?
I've had a pretty herky-jerky transition from 7th to 6th several times.
Okay. I haven't noticed that yet, but we drive in different environments, so that's. But anyways, improved but not perfect. Enough of this complaining.
Brian, I will say, question.
Yeah.
Do you like that this does not automatically come on like the Tacoma?
Yeah, I do.
Agreed.
Every time I turn the truck off, it doesn't go. Yeah, that's a reenactment. It's not a cat. That's what that is. Okay, let's go check out the mods that are coming in. And again, we're not dumping on this truck. We own it. We like it. I think we're gonna have this thing longer than our predecessors. Let's get into what we're doing on this one. Let's go. Okay, it's time to show you the new mods for this thing. And there's 2 here I'll show you, and more we're gonna show you in the front. First of all, we've got our Lasfit bed liner that's coming here. This is from Lasfit, and I'm actually excited about this because we do not like this plastic liner at all. We can't stand it. So
this is the worst thing that this truck came with.
Yeah, all it does is slide around everywhere. So
and I cannot tell you, this is what I'm most excited about this because here's why.
Yeah.
When I put stuff back here for work, I'll put some
center block or something like that.
Who knows? It slides all over the place because this is just plastic.
Right.
This is going to solve this.
So this is not a traditional rubber liner, Craig. This is like a WeatherTech style liner. So let's take it out. And that's my understanding. I've waited to open this till you got here, honestly. So let's see. We ran one of these, or one similar to this, on our Gladiator, and it was a game changer because that did not have a bed liner at all. And this guy, oh, that looks nice and textured. Let's see what we got here. Now, off camera later, Craig, we're going to take this plastic bed liner that Ford sold us and take it off. Because what it's going to do eventually is end up like holding moisture in the bed that doesn't need to be there. So, but for now, once you pick up our next mod, let's take this thing out. It does need to fold out. God, look at this texture. It's like rubberized.
Oh, wow, that's
feel that.
yeah.
So it has some grip, but it's not like a traditional rubber one that holds like super grippy. It's kind of a medium grippy. So I'm not sure. We'll see how this goes. We'll find out. And we're going to report back later on. Keep in mind, this is laying over the factory accessory bed liner, and it will get flat over time. Yeah, so we're running into an issue here, Craig. The problem is the factory Ford liner is taking up airspace.
Right.
This fender needs to be wider and flatter. So we're gonna have to remove this off camera and then we'll pop it back in. But nonetheless, thanks Lasfit for sending that out. We'll throw B-roll in here of that later, but we'll take this plastic liner out from the factory and put this one down. And we'll come back to our next update and tell you if we like it or not. So that's pretty cool. I shouldn't be excited about this, but I am. You ready?
Yeah. Let me tease this a little bit. This is a mod that I don't understand as that big of a deal. Brian gets really put out by these things, but this solves it. This solves it.
Oh, well, it takes all my noises and just goes, hello. Here's the biggest reason why, Craig. You can watch we have a pretty funny video of me trying to like, because the prop rods just get you every time.
Yeah, you're not a good actor.
No, it's just, well, no, that's not what my friends and family said. They said it was the best thing they've ever seen. So that's what I'm going to go with. Well, first of all, I'll show them. These are from Redline Tuning. You can get this thing in a carbon fiber, Brodozer version. We went for the black one. I prefer this one. The hardware install is super easy. It took us about 5 minutes to install it. You put a bracket down here on an existing bolt, and then you thread in a bolt to an existing hole in the hood above, and then you pop these things on and you're done. So like anyone can do it. The problem is when you have the factory prop rod, it's this low.
Yeah.
Which is better than the Tacoma, like by a lot. The Tacoma is more like something like this.
It's bad.
It's bad. So when you take the prop rod off, you get another about 4 or 5 inches.
You can actually service your truck.
Exactly.
Not that this will ever need it.
Well, not yet. But the point being is that I'm tall enough that I hit my head on hoods all the time. I really do appreciate this. Thanks for Redline for sending that out. That's really cool, and it works easily. And just, Bob's your uncle. Works out great. Now, the last mod, Craig, this is awesome. This is from our buddies at Ultimate 9. And we're actually, let's be totally candid on this. I'm not sure I'm sold on these yet. So if you've ever heard of like Pedal Commander, this is like that, but in my experience, because I've used a Pedal Commander once before and it was not great. I have been using on the Land Rover, this is I daily this a lot when I'm not in the Ranger or a press car, and it's actually solved a big problem in the Land Rover for me. It's worked really well and it's really intuitive. So we told them, hey, let's try it on the Ranger too, we'll see. Ranger has a bunch of drive modes, but when those drive modes come in, it doesn't disconnect the throttle control versus the transmission program, and they're linked together. What this will do, Craig, is allow you to adjust your throttle mapping infinitely. Okay, so it basically will stack on top of your factory stuff. Let me pull the app up and show you what it can do.
But you may have heard Pedal Commander or Pedal Monster from Banks. And what I've seen on the internet, because the interwebs tell the truth everywhere, is 50% of the people say it's the best thing in the world and it's faster.
Right.
Or it's the worst thing in the world, what a complete ripoff. So this is kind of the Australian competitor to these things.
Yes.
This is big in Australia. We're very interested to see what happens with this.
Me too. So here's the driving modes, and I'll do a screenshot of this to show it. But you've got Ultimate 9, which is like their kill mode, basically. Ultimate, Launch Control, Adaptive, which is like smart. So it'll learn on your throttle inputs and your driving style and actually tracks over time and figures out what you're going for. Economy, which makes it super dumbed down. Like this is what I have in the Land Rover. I run it in economy and I run it in 2. But you can bring infinitely within each piece how aggressive or unaggressive you want it to be. You can also lock it. What that does for you there is it means that when you lock it with the app, which you have to be within proximity with your phone, no one can drive off. The throttle is now dead. So say someone tried to steal your car, they get the ignition on, the throttle pedal is now dead, that it won't do anything. That's pretty cool. You've also got the factory, which is just everything's turned off. Anti-slip for like really slippery terrain, really. I'm not sure how that's going to detect wheel speed. Some of these things I'm not sold on, but I think it just makes it more, less aggressive. And then you've also got valet mode, which limits peak throttle output. So that's pretty cool. So let me show you.
I think we all have the fear of the valet guy drifting your car. Is that what everybody thinks you're going to do?
I guess. And part of me, Craig, I've got a fantasy that's opposite of that. I've got a fantasy that the drifter knows what he's doing and whips through the parking garage and has a good time.
Me too.
I don't know. Let him have it, dude. Let him have it. So let me pull this out. This actually packaged really well. And again, I have installed this on the Land Rover. It's super easy. So
Ron, other YouTubers call us unboxing.
Oh, we're unboxing now?
Yeah, that's unboxing.
Man, we're going to fit in one day with all those guys. All right, so here you go. So this is the actual hardware right here. This simply connects between the throttle. So you have to have a digital throttle cable for this to work, which anything after about 05.
If you're watching YouTube, you probably have one of those.
Yeah, if you have traction control in your car, you probably have this. So anyways, you'll unplug this harness that goes into your throttle pedal and then put this in between it. So you'll plug it the body side here and then the pedal side here. That's it.
Interesting.
This USB-C goes up to the controller. Very, very small, very easy to use. And it has a USB-C port on either side, so you can mount it in different orientations in the car.
Wait a minute, I don't understand. Controller, I thought we had the phone for that.
You do, but if you don't want to use the app, if you're like, hey, I'm tired of Bluetooth, I just want a hard key, this thing can go in your dash. Now, in the Land Rover, I don't have a good flat spot to put it, so I've tucked it under the dash so that if for some reason I want to change it and I don't have my phone with me or the phone fails, the battery dies, I can pull it out and manually adjust all those
So you use it
settings.
as a backup, but your phone mainly in the Land Rover.
Yeah, so
That's nice.
you have 2 options.
That's good.
And so I like this because if someone wants to borrow the vehicle, they can still control it.
Okay.
Because if you borrow my truck, you don't have my app, right?
Right.
So that's the whole
And I
point
put it
of
on
that.
kill mode.
That's fine. Go ahead. I'm not going to valet it, Craig. It's okay. Our next episode from us, you're going to see us install this and test it. We're going to test it 0 to 60 with it on and with it off. And I'm going to show you how it helped us with the Land Rover as well. So we're going to do that. But
Ryan, we have some more goodies that we just haven't had time to get to for this actual video.
yes,
But they're coming.
they are. So these,
Yeah, I'm excited about these, Brian. These Firestone Destination XTs.
yep.
We're basically told that these are every bit as good or better than the KO2s out there. So
Yeah, that was
that's
a pretty
what
bold
we were
claim.
told.
Yep, and we're going to find out. So I have noticed, can we park it real quick? So this is actually interesting. I've been comparing this tread with the wildpeaks
Yeah.
and the KO2s. We have them here all the time. This, from afar, kind of looks like a bigger spaced wildpeak. So it's kind of splitting the difference. And then you look at this tread block, look how grippy these tread blocks, look at these little sipes on the side. And these sipes go all the way full depth to the bottom. Look, Firestone guys we've been talking to have told us these are amazing, and they like them more than the MT2s for a daily. So we'll see. We're going to put it on the Ranger, and we're going to test it and find out.
Yeah, they basically told us they're better. We're like, okay, whatever, send them to us. I'm like, all right, we'll find out. So
Yeah, so
that's
that's
what
what
we'll
we're
see.
gonna do.
And then, Brian, at the rear, Brian, we have an interesting thing. We have the factory bumper on here, which is steel.
It is. Yep.
And works. We haven't really had any problems with it. We got our hitch that we put on there, and it works.
Hitch, yeah.
We had a bumper come in from Rival. You remember Rival from our skid plates, which have worked quite well and don't weigh too much and good design.
Yeah, they
Brian, I'm just going to say this is kind of the cover of the shell.
You pop it up here.
This is a good looking bumper. I think it looks kind of bad A, but not too dumb.
It's very ARB, but cleaner, I think.
Yeah, and
like
it's got cutouts for backup lights and things like that.
Yeah, you can punch these out, that's for backup lights. These are for your radar sensors, which our truck has, so it has all that stuff.
The bad news, Brian, though, is because this is for a kind of a global spec, and we have a U.S. spec Ranger, and there are some slight differences that we mentioned in some other videos.
Yes,
and that kind of stalled us on this. So more to come on that.
Yeah, so we're going to do that. We are going to get this figured out. What's holding us up, Craig, is that there's a recovery hook that's integrated to this that isn't perfectly lining up with our truck. And I'm not ragging on Rival because they're really sending this to us to see if it even works at all. And if not, they're going to scan our truck and we'll get it figured out. But nonetheless, I've slept on this. I'm excited to get it done. We tried to install it about 2 or 3 weeks ago and we just hit a wall with it. So we'll come back to it and we'll get it done. But that's what's coming on Ranger. Anything else you want to throw into it, Craig?
I think that's it.
That's it. Well, thank you all for watching. I know that was a long, rambly one, but we just wanted to fill you guys in on where we're at. All in all, here's the question everyone asks us. Do you miss the Tacoma?
Yes.
Me too. Are you sad you got the Ranger?
No.
Me neither. Me neither. They're so much closer than I thought they were, especially after last week when we spent time in the new Tacomas.
They're trading punches all over the place.
That's what it is. And the biggest one for me is that back seat. The Tacoma can't trade that one. That's where the Ranger really wins.
The Ranger wins the backseat battle, for sure.
All that covered. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one with our Ultimate 9 060 testing.
See ya.